Oh, there we are. Hello, everybody. My wife hit go live, and I didn't know if we were live yet. And it has that little thing that comes up, go live, or you're live. So we're live here at How to Build Your Own Home every Thursday live chat. We were not here last week. We are here this week. So we've got people coming online. We're going to take a lot of questions. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to start off with asking a couple of questions. My wife will take some notes as we're going of who you would like on the show. I can get Denny Miller, who's the CEO of OmniBlock. He'd be happy to come on board, take a lot of questions. He's moving throughout the United States, filling up a lot of markets with OmniBlock. So we can get him. I'm very close to him. I can call him right now, and he can be on the show like that. He takes my call that quick. So anyone you think, any product that would be interesting, that you can get some really good biofeedback and some other personal feedback, that'd be great. Just leave it in the comment section there, and then we'll take a note of that, and then we can actually try to schedule some of these people on board. It'd be a lot of fun. I really love feeding off people, the dialogue you get from people, the discussions you get. It's great. And then what's neat is that you yourself can ask questions of that actual product, actual subcontractor or supply house or particular technology. That's the neatest thing, is being able to get some live. And if you're not able to be here at the live chat, just message the instructor at How to Build Your Own Home. There's our website there. Contact the instructor and say, hey, I can't be at live, but here's the question I have, and I know you're going to have XYZ on your show. Please ask them this, and then you can just come back to the show anytime. We post it on YouTube, and then you can watch it and get your questions answered. There's no other channel out there that does that. We really enjoy doing that. My wife gets really excited every time live chat comes around because she loves the interactions. She loves to see the people out there asking questions. It's quite fun for her. A couple things that I just wanted to give you. I'm getting ready for a final quarter update, market update for How to Build Your Own Home. If you have any thoughts on that, leave that as well. Next year is going to be very, very, very different from this current year. And I'm going to give some reports on that. And it will come out probably just before Thanksgiving time or just thereafter. So I'm just trying to wrap up a couple of research tools and finding out how things look. And again, I don't look too much at futures, lumber, futures, copper, futures, much of anything. I look at boots on the ground. I look at what the real cost of labor is. That's what I'm most concerned with, because right now we're kind of in a funk, and we're going to see how things turn out. If things change and there's a massive drop in interest rate, guess what goes up? Labor and material costs. So that's what you have to watch out for. Right now, labor is really down, and we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the quarter here and how you can capitalize on it. There's a lot of owner builders building right now because they're smart. They don't think only in interest rates. They think in terms of labor costs, and they're flat, but they're not climbing. They're not skyrocketing, and material costs are also down, at least lumber, which is the big ticket item for building a new home. So keep aware of that. That's going to come late November, probably the first part of December. And if you're smart, you're capitalizing and you're building now, despite what the interest rate says. Okay. Let's take some questions real quick, and maybe we can come back to some other topics down the road.
You need to look. There's no questions at the moment.
Okay, good. No questions. And I can rattle. This is going to be fun. All right. I want to talk about how to find really, really good subcontractors. And I've been through the gamut on this. I've been through the process where I build relationships with a subcontractor. That relationship is a good one, and they kind of follow through and do what they can. But what happens is they change. People change. They get older. They get tired. They don't want to do it as much. But I want to give you a really, really, really good tool. Mally, if you can maybe find the cash flow quadrant, if that's an image maybe you can find, we can upload that. But I want to talk about the first stage in what is called the cash flow quadrant. And it's the stuck phase. It's called the technician phase. All right. These are great when they're younger. But if a person stays in a technician phase way too long, they actually can do you some harm. And let me explain what I'm talking about. A technician phase is a person who loves to do the work, whether it's roofing or tiling or whatever it may be. That's what they do. I know a tile layer, great guy, but he works his own fiddle. He controls and dominates the entire job site when he is there. And that's just the way it is. He doesn't hire people. He doesn't have a crew. He doesn't have a back end person who's really managing his time and his budget, his invoicing and estimating. He doesn't have any of that. That person is doing everything. Okay. Now, when you first start off as a business, that's kind of where you are. You get stuck in that phase, is that you really, there's the cash flow quadrant. Okay. The first is called the employee phase. All right. And that's really a technician, a person who is, even though they own their own business, they are an employee to that business. All right. They're really not self-employed. A self-employed person is amount of active work determines income. So meaning if you move that out of the employee and you move into the self-employed phase, then you're working on labor. You're trading labor for money, time for money. That's all it is. And then the other part is the business owner. Income does not depend on active work, meaning you're streamlining it, you're systematizing it, you're able to hire people, you keep those people hired, you train them well, they follow through, good communication, that kind of stuff. Making that transition from the self-employed to the business owner, that's really, really, really hard for a lot of people. But if you find a subcontractor, it could be concrete, could be whatever it may be, and they're in the business owner phase, you know they've made the step from just self-employed, which is really a hop, skip, and a jump from the employee phase. In other books, the E-Myth, I think he calls the employee phase the technician phase. They just get stuck in being a technician. They can't move out of that. The last one there is the investor. Income does not depend on active work, meaning there's other sources of income. You're having money work for you. Money's making money for you. You may take that money and invest it in other things where you don't have to manage and run and do all those types of things. So when you're looking for subcontractors, you're looking for business owners, okay, and maybe some self-employed. But if you find someone who's in their 30s, 40s, maybe even their mid to late 50s, even 60s, and they're in a self-employed phase, they haven't matured. And they will control and dominate your environment. And that can be very costly for you. And so it's nice if they're young, they're just starting out. You might be the one who has helped them out. I've done that more times than you can shake a stick at. Helped a person become painter. I helped a person become roofer. It's all over the place. I've helped them. And I've seen some transition to a business phase. Now here's the caveat. If they move from a self-employed to a business phase, have they trained their employees? Is their communication great? Is their back end great? Do they invoice and estimate with detail? I have a subcontractor. He gives me an estimate, and it says it may say what he does, do, and then a price. Boom. No itemization, no detail, no extras for whatever you might want to do, and stuff like that. It's just that, and so he's not learning. It's going to take him a while. Maybe I can talk with him and give him some pointers, but as a result, his bids are way off, and oftentimes they're getting too high because he knows he's been eating it in the shorts. But then again, he's not being competitive at the same time. So it takes a while, a couple of years, before a subcontractor really hones in on the market, knows where his price points are, knows where his customers are, and knows how to keep communication up. Like I called a subcontractor this morning, actually, that was yesterday, went to a job site. His scaffolding was in the way. And I have an electrician coming to dig a trench to connect power to the home. And I said, hey, I need this moved out of the morning because it'll be done first thing in the morning, Keith. And he responded really quickly. So that business phase is quick communication, prompt, details in their estimating, and it surfaces really quick. What we should do is do a checklist, honey. This will be fun. Do a checklist on all the things that make for a good business. So when you get an estimate, when you start communicating with that person, you can make a quick assessment about who they are and what they are. I wrote a book on this called Fake Optimist, but I didn't get into the nitty gritty of the business mindset of it, and meaning how to really determine if this business is really a good one you want to engage in contract with. So this is something I'll think about maybe on this weekend when I'm sitting in a pew in church and I'm bored. It comes to me then. I'll just do a whole checklist and it will come.
Okay, we got questions.
Okay, we'll come back to that. But you have any questions on that? Go ahead and ask me. Kansas Plowboy, can you ballpark price per square for OmniBlock home with hurricane straps and still aluminum roof? It depends on the price of lumber. Right now, lumber is down about 20 to 32% from its high in the COVID era. And at that point, OmniBlock was a better price. Right now, with lumber down from those points, OmniBlock might be just a little bit higher. It depends also if you can find a good mason. And right now, masons are thinking that they can charge top dollar. And if you've got a lot of masons in your area, great. And it needs to be a structural mason, not a wall landscape mason. It's got to be a structural mason who can take that window right there and put a bond beam with rebar in it and know how to do it using OmniBlock. And if they are a structural mason and they're a good price, that would be an awesome thing. So I hope that answers your question the best way I can.
I'm sure Kansas Plowboy wants like a number, but it's hard, a variable.
Yeah. Well, it's I would say it could be around 8 to 12% more than a regular stick built home right now. But again, it depends on your mason. And in Kansas, what do you have? You have high winds and tornadoes, and that is the best building block, the best building system for your area, period.
And we'll try and get Denny on. He'll be able to.
He actually has, if you go to his website, I think it's on there. He may have emailed it to me, but he actually did a breakdown. They actually did a breakdown of an OmniBlock wall in Arizona, and it was like a 10 by 10 wall versus a stick built, and they actually broke down the cost. And you really start saving in the labor costs that help accommodate for the purchase of the OmniBlock itself. So something to think about. What I like to work with Denny on is get the insulation inserts pre-filled. If they could come with the insulation inserts already in them, that'd be pretty cool. But something I need to talk to him about. Anyway, MG, what would you expect a house plan to cost? 1 story, 2,500 square feet. Would you ever purchase an off-the-shelf plan? Never purchase a plan off the shelf. You are bucking for a disaster. And I'll explain why in just a second. But the 2,500 square foot, right now, drafters are charging anywhere from the low end that I've seen is $1 a square foot. So that's $2,500. And then if it's $1.25, just add another 25 cents to that. But the median right now is 2,500 times about $1.50 a square foot for a draft person. So that's about $3,700. It could be more in some areas. It depends on how busy they are. I've got a draft person. He's Brian. He's very, very, very good to work with, very patient. He's in the download section at How to Build Your Own Home. Check him out. I've also got another one, Lonnie, and they're very affordable, very experienced. They've designed hundreds of homes together, probably more than that, thousands of homes. So check them out, and they're very affordable. And they have designed homes for a lot of my students across the country. So in other words, they haven't run across a jurisdiction they can't kind of work with. So just keep that in mind. The more rural you are, the more they will enjoy working with you because they know the permitting office is just the same. But if you're trying to build in Newport Beach, California, and all the rigmarole they put you through to build a home down there, they might say, you might want to find somebody else. But they can take it on depending on how complex it is. And some of those permitting offices get really detailed with your site plan. And that's where you don't want to purchase a plan online because you still have to have the electrical plan. You still have to have the foundation plan, which may or may not work with a particular site that you're working with. You still need to identify where the sewer is going to come in. You still need to identify where the power and gas and even the hydrants are in your local area. you're going to have to site and put all those on the site plan, typically in a lot of jurisdictions. And those ready-made plans do not come with that. So what I suggest is if you find a floor plan you like, scanning through plans online, find a floor plan that you like, okay? And then hire a drafts person and say, here's what we're looking at, but we want to make several tweaks. And plus, here's the jurisdiction we want to build in, and here's some of the requirements that they ask for. All right. And think about it. If you buy a plan and they can sell them for $1,500, $1,800, super cheap, it seems like, but when it comes to it, it's very costly. And some of them may just give you a PDF. They won't give you the vector file. So if they don't give you the vector file, then you can't send it to an engineer. And if you can't send it to an engineer, they're gonna have to redraft it. They're gonna charge you to do that. And I've run into that nightmare before. So these online plans are not a full package. And I like to see an online plan says, plans ready to go, and for additional site plan work, an additional $500 or something. Then I could see the package, but they don't sell that package.
Yeah, we have
customer service.
Yeah, we have a few house plans on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And but we do put a caveat on there that, hey, there's the architect, the drafts person is going to have to look at your site plan and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are going to be additional costs, but there are some on there.
Yeah, if you like any of the homes I've built through the years, just message us and I will get you in touch with one of the drafts person that has drafted my house plan. And then they can work directly with you and maybe they can give you a discount. It's called a reuse fee. So imagine building a subdivision and you design a home, they're going to reuse it. Typically an architect will have what's called a reuse fee. And it could be $600, $800 or $1,200, whatever. It depends. And that way you get the whole package a little cheaper and you can still do the site plan for you for a small fee. And depending how complex your building area is. So, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Next question. Sunshine. It would be nice if you had a concrete expert and or aluminum shingle roof expert. Thanks. I'm the aluminum shingle roof expert.
I wrote that down.
So.
And Keith knows a lot. Yep.
Yeah. If you have any questions on aluminum shingle, just ask me. I've done probably 60 homes or so in my lifetime myself. Over the years, I would get on the roofs and do a lot of it myself. And so I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah. My dad had a roofing company. So we were both teachers. And then in the summers and our second jobs, we did construction.
Yeah.
Roofing, landscaping.
I've put on just about every roofing product you can imagine, from asphalt to tile, low profile tile, flat tile, aluminum, standing seam. I've installed just about every roof material you can imagine. So I'm pretty experienced in that.
Oh, and let me just housekeeping note. I forgot to tell. We got a few emails about the Discord. I resent those emails out. So if you are in the self-managed program, you should get a link to our Discord group where there's a whole bunch of people in there collaborating, talking, showing your progress, celebrating, meetups, stuff like that.
And I get in there once in a while, mostly on Sundays when I have some time. I'll just sit down on the couch and have some fun with Discord. So that's typically the time I'm usually in there if I can get in there.
Okay.
David, remember, I'm not just a YouTube builder. I'm an active builder. So it'd be nice if I was straight up YouTube, but I'm not there yet. David L. I'm looking at Evolve Stone for an exterior wall. I haven't talked to the manufacturer yet, but have heard they are helpful. Other builders may be interested, still not sure of the product.
Have you heard of that?
I have. I've heard of Evolve Stone. It's kind of heavy, easier to work with, though, because it's all uniform size. You want to find out, I don't know about the fire rating on that. I don't know how thick it is and the fastening approach to it. When it comes to some of those things, I like to use stainless steel fasteners, especially if you're in a hot, humid area. So just a couple of questions you can ask the product manufacturer and send a query. And remember, create an email that looks like a builder email and inquire about them as a builder, okay? Don't say that you're an owner builder. Say you're a builder, and they're going to treat you a little differently. And say, I'm a builder. I'm a spec builder. I do about 5-10 homes a year, say something like that, and they'll treat you a little differently. You understand? Okay. Okay. Robert, I'll let my wife read that.
Robert, can you give experience on continuing the building process during winter months in mountains, snow area? Am I going to get an inferior product doing stone and siding, and should I wait until spring?
Well, that's right up my alley. I build a lot of mountain homes, and I've had a lot of experience with mountain homes. I'm going to give you the kind of the gamut, okay? You want to get a dry in face as quick as you possibly can. And then when you do the dry in is the synthetic you put on the roof. You don't want to put anything that can flap in the wind. You want a full ice and water shield dry in. What does that mean? It's a peel and stick product they typically put on the first 4 feet of the eave to help alleviate ice damming. But I put it on the entire roof. Why do I do that? Because if you got it dried in and for some reason you got 6 inches of snow and it's not going anywhere, you now have the home completely protected. And it could stay under that for the duration of the winter, believe it or not. The second thing is to make sure your flues and your pipes are all sealed off. That way you can literally work inside all the mechanical, plumbing, electrical through those winter months. So that's how you manage the inside of the home. Now I want to talk about the outside. If you have any kind of deck on the outside, you want to put a protective membrane on it the minute it is exposed to the elements, meaning right after framing it. Now, there's a lot of products on that. Watch for a video I did today that may come out next Tuesday or the week after that. And I talk about that. And I actually show a product I actually put on the subfloor inside the home to help protect it during the inclement weather that may or may not come. Protecting your lumber is key, and getting a dry in phase is the most important. All right. After that, the siding's not much of an issue unless the siding's coming down to a deck and you got to protect that and stuff like that. If you've got an eave that's about 18 inches or beyond, that's going to be a plus. It keeps the snow sheeting away from the home. You don't want a home that is just down the corner from me that looks like a Monopoly home with no eave on it. And all the water, there's so much damage. It's crazy already on that home. So if you have an eave, you're going to push all that snow away. And I can talk forever on other details, but I want to talk about one thing, and that is the road. It is going to be muddy, all right? You can alleviate that to some degree. If you're going to put an asphalt road in there, all right, and if you're have that factored in your costs, ask them to put 1 inch of road 1 inch or 1.5 inches down first, and the second layer in the spring. And why do you do that? It eliminates mud. And all the damage they do, it might be just to that one layer, but you still have a finished clean layer coming in the spring. And that's how I did stuff when I built up in the Park City area. It's the ski resort area, and we had a lot of snow, but we could not deal with the mud. The mud that was being tracked into homes was horrendous. So we actually put just 1.5 inches of asphalt down, plowed it every day, kept it clean. And when guys walked in, so what if it was a little snow? It wasn't mud. It's that mud with the grit on there, and my wife would attest to this, that comes in and just wreaks havoc on floors. So if you can do it that way, great. If you're not putting asphalt down, make sure that when they walk into the home where the subcontractors are walking, there's a really good place for them to wipe off their boots. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it adds up. It adds up. And a lot of guys, when they walk in a room, even if they have a clean floor on or a nice floor, wood floor, tile floor, doesn't matter. If there's a mess in there, they will create more of a mess. So trying to keep it clean even before they get into the home is really a key point, something I stress. And if there's not a clean point, get some lumber that's trash lumber and just put it in the front so they can walk on that. And again, that's helping clean their boots before they go in. I know this sounds weird, but mountain building in the winter is the worst mess you can imagine, and it will drive you batty. And so if you can plan ahead of time and put some gravel up at the front of the house, so the big gravel, 2-inch aggregate, not small, pea gravel that can get clogged into your boots, but a bigger gravel, it's cleaning off your boots as you're walking and walking to home. It's that mud that is the big issue. And I'll end with this one thing to keep in mind. If you've got your foundation done, and I talk about this in this video that's coming up, get your final grade done as soon as you can. Get your power underground, your gas underground, your water underground, your low voltage underground. Get it all underground, buried, and taken to the home as soon as you possibly can before the winter months. Why do I say that? Because the minute you trench and try to put dirt back in it, nobody recompacts that nicely. It just settles with water and moisture over time, and you start seeing lumps. And I saw that today. We filmed a video today, and I say, look at that, son. I'm glad we got that big rainstorm. Before the winter came, it settled everything. I had a big crack in the mud like that. And I could see it slide down the foundation almost 4 to 5 inches. Boom. There's all that settling that's taking place. You don't want that next year in the spring. You don't want that when you're trying to do landscaping. You don't want to do that later. Let that happen as soon as you possibly can. And that also means getting your septic in as soon as you possibly can. And that way you're settling naturally over the winter. And then when spring comes, boy, it's so much easier to work with. I could talk forever on that subject. It's a really great question, but I hope that really kind of covers the big issues for you.
And we have a lot of questions, honey. So
okay, all right, I'll move faster now. Okay, food media, is that right? F1000 media. Luke, Las Vegas, Nevada. I bought 21 acre plots in 2021. Sewer brought in, permits approved for 2-story, 14,000 square foot home, casita and RV garage. A plan to pay in stages. What is the best way to do this? 14,000 square feet. That's a lot. That's going to be a hard thing to do in stages unless you design it in stages. And then the city of Las Vegas is really tough. I've dealt with, believe it or not, I've built homes under that permitting.
He's asking, I plan to pay in stages.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the same as build in stages.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So if you design it right, you can do that. However, most permitting offices only give you a year to build with the ability to give an extension. Contact the permitting office and ask them, is there a fee if I want a 6-month extension? And it's typically another 6-month extension. And if they don't charge that, you can have a lot of 6-month extensions and ask them how far out they can allow that to take place. That's really the only way to bite that 14,000 square feet is to build it over a longer period of time.
Yeah, because remember my friend in Vegas, they got the shell up and then they've taken like 10 years to do the inside.
Yeah.
Why they live in the garage.
That's a remodel.
Casita.
Yeah, that's probably a remodel. But if it's a permitted issue, you can't move into it until you got a CO.
That's true. Yep.
And so if you have a casita, which is separate from it, and that's a separate permit, which is a smart thing to do, they'll give you the CO for the one building and give you a CO for the other one when it's done and ready and complete. So breaking up your permits into multiple permits, if you can, typically you can for 2 buildings or 3 buildings. And that's really the only way to do that. So great question. Greg Lofgreen. Sounds familiar, like I know that person. I'm building an omniblock home in Arizona. It has large covered porches on 3 sides. When in the process is the porch concrete poured? Really good question. I like to do it before your stucco finish coat is applied. Why? Because the concrete guys tend to splatter, and they'll splatter the concrete on that finished stucco. More than likely, you're going to do a stucco finish. So you get your stucco gray coat on there. Then have your concrete guys come in, and it's not a problem if concrete splats against gray stucco. You can't even see it. And then you can do your finish coat. That's the best timing that I found. Okay, good question. I think my wife froze. Let's see if I can find that. Craig Lofgren. Go up here and find it. Next one. There it is. Let's see. There's another one. Right. Where is that one? Here you go. That's why it subs sunshine. There we are. HM. When creating headspace bonus room above 4-car attached bonus room, 2 or 3 dormers create light for 1K square feet. Would you like to know how to create more headspace if 6 feet 8 separate thermostat or not? Yeah, you'd want a separate thermostat. The reason being because if you put the thermostat down below and it's cold down below and it's kicking on, it's probably warm up above. And this is a problem that a lot of people don't understand is that upstairs, second floors, where are you going to put the thermostat? It's got to go in one or the other. And if you put it upstairs, it's going to be warmer upstairs. And then it's not going to go on downstairs. It's going to be cold downstairs. So 2 separate thermostats for that. And with attic trusses, it's great. You can throw those units right inside the dead space, inside the attic dead space. And it fits nicely inside there. And the dormers, yeah, I don't do less than 8-foot dormers. It just doesn't work. It's too small. This here, right there, that is an 8-foot dormer right there. And what's neat, I'm in my son's office here, that their bathroom is the other side. So on one side, you've got an 8-foot dormer and there's a window in that bathroom. And then on this side is a little, kitchenette. Can't say that very well. And yeah, you saw that mini split up there on the wall. So it keeps it, and that's separate from the mini splits downstairs. So you can have a temperature difference up here and have the air conditioning going lower up here than downstairs because downstairs is colder. So that's the neat thing of mini splits. Okay, good question. Okay, Peyton. Hey, Keith. The best way to pay subs if managing while out of town. Wires, checks with lockbox, etc. Really good question. I wish my daughter was here. I'd get her to answer that question for you. We do everything with a check, and a lot of subcontractors do not like it when you mail a check, especially in some areas. Like our mail in our town here gets mailed all the way up to Salt Lake, then it gets mailed back down. And for some reason, I don't know why the post office does it that way. But if you have a situation like that, your subcontractors will not get mail for 3 to 5 days after you've sent the check off. So if you have a place that's local, they can come to get their check, great. And that's the best way to do it. And get a lien waiver if you can, or have a lien waiver check. And go online, type in lien waiver for construction jobs. They'll give you a template. They'll sign the lien waiver. Boom, you'll get that. You'll get the check. Okay, good question. Next one. We're going to end at 5 minutes, 10 minutes to 6 because I've got to run to a potluck that I'm part of and responsible for. So just want to let everybody know. I'll get through these.
Okay, so you got to hustle with these questions. Okay. So HM asked this question that you just talked about, the bonus area. And then he also went, what kind of truss for that size of room?
Okay, it's called an attic truss in the ranch with a basement in Michigan. It's called an attic truss. Attic trusses and girder trusses, but they're the same thing. Just go to a local truss manufacturing plant and tell them I want attic trusses and tell them the size you want. Now keep in mind, I'll leave you with this one piece of advice. Anytime you extend a home this way, I'm inside an attic truss configuration. This is an attic truss. Every 2 feet is another truss. So you can't extend the home 1 foot. That would be very costly. Extend it every 2 feet. And then I like shed dormers, are my favorite, and never below 8 feet, but you can go 10 feet and 12 feet. But again, every time on a 2-foot increment. Okay. Good question.
Okay. This is a second part of that other question that was building in stages.
Okay, I brought in sewer to the one plot that has the permits and the land is ready for grading and pads. I work full time also, so wondering how to build this in stages and the time between each stage. When you frame a home, you have to hurry and get it covered. You can't wait and dawdle. This is the biggest hurdle in building. Once you have the frame structure up and it's protected, which is called dried in, it gives you a little bit of a buffer. And then you hurry and get your mechanical in and you make sure you get the roof in, and then you can take your time. That's the stage I'm talking about. If you go to the How to Build Your Own Home, take the self-managed course, there's a download section, and it's called Build Flow, okay? And that Build Flow will tell you what the build flow will be for slab on grade, stem wall, walkout basement, etc. And even for OmniBlock, okay? And it tells you what's going to come next, what you need to look out for, what you need to prepare for next. And that build flow, if you constantly reference that, have it on a clipboard and recognize it, I'm always updating that. Now it's up to 5-6 pages long. It's very detailed, and it helps you see in advance. It helps you see what to plan for. So that there alone is very, very powerful. Not to mention all the checklists and videos and budgets and everything all ready to go in that program. If you're not in the self-managed program, you're missing out. I have not had any complaints on it. It's very, very easy to understand and follow.
And where you have a Discord group, so
Yeah.
you can get involved and talk to people all over the country.
Yep. And then take the First Steps course as a primer. At the very end of that First Steps course, the last module, there's a coupon code for the self-managed course. So if you want to go about it that way, that's great. Hannah Banana. Hey, Hannah Banana. I haven't seen you in a while. That's good to hear you, see you, read your question. Good to see you, Keith, and your beautiful wife. She is beautiful. Isn't she awesome? Everybody tell Melissa how beautiful she is.
Oh,
Who lays out the foundation? And I've noticed subs want to pour slab and footers together. I'm not a fan of footers and slabs together. It's a mono slab, and it has a higher risk of a wavy wall system. And it's kind of a lazy approach in my mind. I don't like it. It's also very hard for plumbers to hit their mark dead on because they don't have a batter board. They don't have something specific really to hit. So I'm a big fan of footings first, and then they come in and do their thing, and then put on the slab on top of that. So it's a matter of them just trying to see how quick they can get it done. Get a pump truck there once, not twice. They can bid it low, or they can bid at the same price and pocket some extra money. But I'm not a fan of that, to be honest with you. So Jason Fowles, I can do everything. What am I worth theoretically? You're worth maybe $14 a square foot in framing in my market, maybe 35 in LA in framing. So you go down the list and you see what you're worth. But here's the big question. How much are you worth doing something over here in the private sector with as an entrepreneur making money versus trying to stuff insulation into some 2x6s? Can you make the same amount of money over here that you can doing insulation? No, you can't. Okay. So if you're a natural business person, a natural entrepreneur, if you're going to try to do everything, you're going to take 3 years to build a home, 2 to 3 years to build a home. It just can't be done. And then look at all the lost time you had trying to do something else to make a better living. So I do the things. That's why I created How to Build Your Own Home. The biggest savings is the general contractor. If you can cut out the general contractor, that's 10 to 23% in that range. High-end luxury, it's 15 to 18 to 23%. Low-end custom grade or builder grade stuff, maybe 10, 12%. And so you're right, even at the low end of 10% on a $600,000 or $400,000 home, that's $40,000 to $60,000. All right, that's your biggest savings, not $500 or $1,200 to stuff your own insulation. So that's why I created How to Build Their Own Home, to help people be their own general contractor, because that's the biggest savings, not the DIY stuff. I know there are a lot of DIY channels out there, and let them do their thing. People want to learn how to do these things, but that's not the biggest cost savings. I'm going after the biggest cost savings. I save more owner builders more money than probably all the other channels that are out there. And I can say that very confidently because they're learning how to manage. And that's where we get into the business owner phase. I'm teaching how to be a business owner. I'm bypassing the employee stage, and I'm bypassing the self-employed stage. I'm going right to business ownership. And we'll have to give a link, if you can, honey, to that image, if you can, because if you study that image, that's going to help you. I got to get out of this mindset of employee, which is the DIY mindset, and get into the employee or employer mindset. And that's gonna really teach you business. Okay. Good question. Doug B, you recently recommended aluminum shingles and said you wouldn't use standing seam aluminum. Why? I was thinking of using standing seam for lower cost and to facilitate installing solar panels. They don't make standing aluminum because it's a little flimsy. They don't have a gauge very well for aluminum. However, I know a manufacturer up north who would make them. He works directly with a standing seam bender, and he takes his coil over there and he can manufacture them. I like aluminum shingles because they withstand a much higher wind rating than standing seam. Standing seam is mainly galvanized metal, and it has an absorption quality to it, meaning it has a heat. It doesn't have a heat refractive quality. It has a heat absorptive quality. It takes in heat and puts it back into the attic, whereas aluminum is the opposite. It will put the heat back out into the atmosphere. And plus, aluminum takes paint better. Aluminum lasts longer. Aluminum doesn't oxidize in the elements over time. I could go on and on. And so aluminum just has a far better quality over time. Plus, the product I use has a 100-year warranty. You show me one roofing product that has a better roofing warranty, and I'll jump on the bandwagon and I'll sell that roof. But I haven't found one yet. We need to get Jake on here. Let's put that on the list. Jake would come on the show really, really quick, and I've sent him a lot of work, and he'd do it. I can call him right now, and also he's the president of Permalock, and he'd answer the phone. So let's think about getting Jake on. That'd be a really good question.
Okay, go to the next one.
Craig Lofgring, have you had a problem putting electrical, water, and gas in the same trench? Yeah, you can't do it. Most jurisdictions would not allow for that. You need to keep the gas in a separate line, and the only way you can do it, and I'll be straight up, is if I did this on a home, it was straight up rock coming down. Talked with the city and says, we allow you to do a 6-foot wide trench. And you put the power utilities on opposite sides. So the gas is going to be over here. The power is going to be over here. Water, sewer, low voltage. And they're typically 1 to 2 feet apart. And they allow that because it's a nightmare. You can't do a trench through solid rock that's just 1.5 feet wide and do another trench. You can't do it. It's impossible. So if you have a situation like that, you can ask the permitting office, can I just do a 6-foot wide trench and have them all separated? That might flight, but again, check with your permitting office and also check with the gas supplier and the power supplier. Low voltage, they really don't care. They can go just about anywhere. They just can't be in parallel with a high wire, high power. They need to be at least 1 foot away because they can interfere with each other. And then, of course, sewer and water, and try to keep them as separated as you possibly can. Good question, though. Pronto Builders. Keith, a lot of bigger builders have went belly up building larger projects. What's that all about? I'll tell you what it's all about. My wife will chime in on this a little bit if she wants to. You can build a big home. Big homes are cheaper to build, and that's the straight up square truth. You can build a 800 square foot home, and you're going to have subcontractors come there and charge you more just to come all the way out there to put your home together. But the bigger you go, the more affordable the square footage is. But here's the caveat. It's also more expensive. So I could build a home that's worth $450, maybe if I can, really tight, or I can build a home that's $850. But the higher up I go, I limit my market potential. I'll let my wife make a comment on that. She knows what I'm talking about.
You're talking about the price per square foot is more when it's smaller, but when you build bigger, it's less per square foot. Yeah.
But the home is more money.
Mm-hmm. And they're talking, Pronto Builders talking about some of the big builders that are going belly up. I think we had some here locally. Some left town because they had a higher price per square foot, and the market wasn't working for them, and so they left town. Some of them went belly up when all of a sudden the lumber prices went crazy. Some builders had in their contract that they could stop the build and cancel contracts in the middle if they pleased, and so a lot of contracts fell out, and then they reevaluated. They went back to their subcontractors and said, you're all fired. You got to give us new bids. It was pretty interesting here locally when after COVID happened and all the supply chains slowed down, and then there was a high demand. And
a lot of builders are when they think it's going to sell, but it doesn't sell, and that's their problem. Other builders, they're smart. They say, hey, honey, it didn't sell. You want to move into the home? Or we rent this one? Yeah. So they move into the new home and rent out their existing home. That's what some builders do. I know I've been through that. And so markets are finicky. And so if you're building at a higher price point, it's great in a great market. but it's absolutely terrible in a bad market.
And you don't know when it is, because even in 06, I was a real estate agent in 06, and it was a big boom.
Right.
And so people were just building crazy big houses, hoping that they are going to get millions of dollars. And they weren't even being logical on the design. And so nobody even wanted to buy the home. Yeah, it was big, lots of square footage, and price per square foot was low. But the design was horrible because they were never going to live in it. They just thought any home they build was going to be somebody would buy it. And then the market crashed in 08 and they lost their shorts.
Okay, let's take a few more questions here. We have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So I won't get to all your questions today. Media, my 3 permits are all approved now through April 2026 and ready to pull, but I want to make sure I'm ready and have solid plan in place. Yeah, take those courses, plan, and then set your budget the month before you start building. Don't set your budget now, because it's going to be toast by the time you start building. So make sure that budget is like you're getting ready for a marathon. You exercise, and you eat pasta the night before. You're really ready to go. But don't try to eat pasta now and think it's going to give you energy 6 months from now. It's not. Michael, I have a quote for 17 windows and 1 slider for $22,000. This includes install. Is this a good price? California? No, it's not. Sorry. 17 windows. That's almost $1,000 a window. Get some better bids right away. Get some better bids. There's something wrong with that. I've gotten that number of windows for like $6 to $8 grand. Even at some box stores where I'll get some Anderson E-Series windows, and I'll get them for less than that. So you need to shop around. Good question, though. And then your framer should install them. And the install is not hard. It's not hard. You get your framers to install it. Don't have them install. They're going to charge you, say, $2,500 to install windows, and they can install them in less than 2 hours, less than 3 hours for a home like that. So check around and ask your framer to install your windows. JD IS Comp, I hope I said that, 1042. How hard is it to get another driver way entrance permit from the city for extra parking for my ADU, and would that be expensive? Thanks. That's I don't know, to be honest with you. You want to go and talk with your permitting office, and it depends on the cost per square foot. Asphalt can be anywhere from $6 to $9 a square foot in some rural areas, maybe higher in some metropolitan areas. So call and find out, and then it's a different price per thickness. 2 inches, 3 inches, you never know. And then you have maintenance on that asphalt too every 6 years. So, and then they don't want another entrance from the street. That entrance is going to be off of your drive. They're not going to allow you to have a second entrance from off the curb and gutter. I know that for a fact. They're just not going to let that happen. And if they do, it's a variance, and that's not a very easy thing to get. So check with your permitting office and see if you have enough length in your driveway to do a V or a Y to come off for a second parking for that parcel. Okay, good question. Let's see here. Let's see, jump. Let's see. Where are we here? I'll go to Andrea. We'll take one more question here with Andrea. And I'm sorry, I've got to go. I've got a big potluck that I'm responsible for, and I got to get there. Hello, you said say what kind of builder and how many homes we should say we build. Say you're a builder. Don't say you're an owner builder. Just say I'm a builder. I do specs, 2 to 3 specs, or say 4 to 6 specs. All right, that's not lying. Okay, it's putting off a perception that you're professional. Okay, when I was an actor in Hollywood, I believe it or not, I was an actor in Hollywood. My acting coach taught me a vital lesson. He said, if somebody asks you, have you performed Shakespeare? And you say yes. And why did he say that? Even though I have never performed Shakespeare on stage, I could at any moment in time whip out monologues and soliloquies from Shakespeare, Hamlet, King Lear, Macbeth, and I could perform them on the spot that very second. Okay? And it's the same thing with construction. If somebody says, can you build this? You say yes. Why? Because you have a program that's going to line you out. You have a system that's going to help you, guide you through the entire process. So if you have something that you know that's going to help you, I had to be or not to be. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I have Hamlet still in my head. Even after 35 years, it's still there. I can perform Hamlet. As you go through a process and you learn that process, you now call yourself a builder. Even if you're in the middle of learning that process, you say, I'm a builder. It's called confidence, okay? You portray confidence, and you're going to attract those that say, yeah, I want to be your subcontractor for this, okay? So don't feel like you're lying. Just feel like you're portraying confidence, okay? When I left higher education, okay, I was a produce clerk. I called myself a produce clerk. I didn't have years of experience. I had a couple of days. After that, I went into the nonprofit sector, or I went into electrical and became an apprentice electrician. I called myself an electrician. Even though I had never done any school, I could, by the state code, call myself an apprentice electrician if there's a general master electrician there on the site. I can call myself an electrician. Whether it's a master or an apprentice, doesn't matter. You portray confidence. You have a system, how to build your own home. You have a structure to help follow you, to guide you through the process. Call yourself a builder, okay? And don't be shy about that. I wish I could answer all those questions. Send the questions to how to build your own home. Contact the instructor. I will answer them next week. I wish I could stay here for an hour with you folks, but I've got to get to an event that I actually organized. So until then, we'll see you next week. And again, go to howtobuildyourownhome.com. Take the first steps course. It really lines you out. Remember, there's a coupon code at the end of that for the self-managed course. And again, it's the best course out there. It comes from 20 years of teaching, and I mixed that with 20 years of experience in the trades as a general contractor. It's the best combination. It's really broken down in a really nice, easy chunks, and you'll be very amazed at how streamlined it is. Okay. See you guys next Thursday. You guys take care.